Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're really laser focused on something every aspiring vet in the US and Canada absolutely has to face.
hmm
The North American Veterinary Licensing Examination, or NAVLE.
That's the one.
We've pulled together quite a range of sources, from the official ICVA website, practical advice from Vet Prep's blog,
Good stuff there.
even some real talk on Reddit, updates from VIN, insights from vet
A
schools.
real mix.
Exactly. Our goal. It's really to give you the essential info on this huge exam, what it is, who takes it, how you gear up for it, and importantly, what the recent changes mean. So you feel, informed, not overwhelmed.
Yeah, ready to tackle it.
Let's get started.
Absolutely. So, at its core, the NAVLE is basically the key, right? It unlocks your ability to actually practice veterinary medicine across the U.S. and Canada.
The gatekeeper.
Pretty much. It's a big exam, 360 multiple choice questions, all computer-based. It's run by the ICVA, the International Council for Veterinary Assessment. And what's really interesting when you dig into it is what it tests. It's designed for those day one skills.
Day one. What does that mean exactly?
Think about the fundamental abilities a brand new vet needs, like right from the moment they start seeing patients.
Ah, okay.
Basic diagnosis, common treatments, even just how to talk to clients effectively, those basics.
Got it. So essential for the license.
Absolutely essential for licensure in North America. But interestingly, if your immediate plan is maybe an internship or residency at a university
Right.
and not private practice straight away, the NAVLE might not be a strict requirement, like immediately. Something to keep in mind.
Right, okay. So it's the license gatekeeper, mainly for practice. Now, who exactly is eligible to sit for this thing?
That's a really important point. The main group is graduates and senior students from AVMA-credited vet schools.
AVMA, American Veterinary Medical Association.
Correct. And typically senior students means within about 10 months of graduating, though some states are a bit tighter, maybe 8 months. But it's not only for students in those AVMA schools. Graduates and senior students from non-accredited schools can also be eligible.
Oh, interesting. How does that work?
A key factor there is if they're enrolled in or already hold certificates from either the ECFEG,
Educational Commission for Foreign Veterinary Graduates?
that's it, or
Yeah.
PAVE, the Program for the Assessment of Veterinary Education Equivalents.
Right.
And generally, for those candidates, they need to have finished step 3 of their specific program before they get the green light for the NAVLE.
I see. So pathways exist.
Exactly. It shows an effort to standardize competency, regardless of the specific school background.
That makes sense. Now, what if you're aiming to practice up north in Canada? Is the process identical?
Good question. When you look at the whole North American picture, Canada does have its own distinct system for
Right.
this part.
Okay.
If you want that Canadian license, you'll be dealing with the Canadian National Examining Board, the NEB, for your application.
NEB for Canada.
Got it. But for the U.S., it's often a two-pronged application. One goes to the ICVA itself,
Right.
and another usually goes to the specific state or territory board where you actually want to practice.
Ah, double duty potentially.
Potentially. Although, and this is a key detail, sometimes the ICVA handles the state part for you.
Oh, okay.
So the real takeaway, you absolutely have to drill down on the specific requirements for the jurisdiction you're targeting. Don't assume it's the same everywhere.
Definitely sounds like homework is required for your specific location. Okay, now, you mentioned the ICVA. They've made some policy changes recently. What are the key updates folks prepping for the NAVLE need to know?
Yeah, there are several pretty significant updates. Some just kicked in late 2024. Others are for the 2025-2026 cycle. First off, the cost.
Always important.
The NAVLE exam fee is now $760 per attempt.
Okay.
And if you plan to test outside the U.S., its territories, or Canada, there's an extra international fee. That's $365.
Right. That adds up.
It does. Another interesting change is this no board option on the application.
No board. What's that for?
It's designed for people who might be a bit unsure about exactly where they'll end up wanting to be licensed when they first apply.
Ah, okay. Flexibility.
Sort of. If you pick that, pass the NAVLE, you can later use the AAVSB's Vault service, that's the American Association of Veterinary State Boards, to send your scores to whichever board you choose.
That sounds useful.
It can be, but here's the catch. Once you submit that ICVA application, whether you pick specific boards or the no board option, those selections are final. You can't change them later through the ICVA.
Ah, so you commit upfront.
Exactly. It really highlights you need a pretty clear idea of your licensing plans early on, or at least understand the implications of choosing no board.
Okay, so definitely a look before you leap situation with those board selections. What other changes have rolled out? Any more big ones?
I'd say maybe one of the most significant shifts is the new limit on attempts.
Oh, how many attempts do you get now?
You now get a maximum of 5 Navy attempts,
Boom.
lifetime,
Wow, 5 total.
5 total. And that includes any attempts where maybe you started but didn't finish for some reason.
Okay. What if someone needs more than 5? Is that even possible?
It requires an appeal process directly to the ICVA Board of Directors. And those appeals usually need support from the licensing board you're applying to. It's not automatic.
Sounds like a high bar.
It is. And importantly, any attempts you took before this rule change, they still count towards this new 5-attempt limit.
Ooh, retroactive counting. Good to know.
Very good to know. And finally, starting with the 2025-2026 cycle, they're moving from 2 testing windows a year to 3.
3 windows. How does that work?
There'll be shorter, more focused windows, October 15th to November 15th, then March 1st to March 21st, and July 13th to August 8th.
Spreading it out more?
Yeah, the idea is more flexibility for scheduling. Vet school class sizes are increasing, graduation dates vary, plus sometimes weather causes disruptions.
Right, makes sense.
So this should hopefully help ease some scheduling pressure. The application deadlines are roughly 3 months before each window starts, July 15th, January 7th, and May 7th, respectively.
3 windows definitely sounds like it could offer some much-needed flexibility. Okay, so once you've figured out eligibility, navigated the application, the big question, how do you actually prepare for an exam this comprehensive?
Absolutely. Preparation is, well, everything.
Yeah.
And there are some key strategies that always seem to come up.
Like what?
Well, most successful folks recommend a structured study plan, usually somewhere in the 3 to 5 month range.
Okay, a decent chunk of time.
Yeah. And using online resources helps a lot. Free samples are out there, but many invest in paid review programs like VetPrep or Zuko Review. They often give you schedules, practice materials.
Structure helps.
Definitely. But here's something fascinating from the science of learning. Active recall.
Active recall?
Yeah, it's not enough to just read your notes over and over.
Right, passive reading.
Exactly. Research shows that actively trying to pull information out of your memory, like right after you study it, then again later, and connecting it to other topics, that dramatically improves long-term retention.
Like flexing a muscle.
Precisely. The more you actively retrieve it, the stronger that memory gets.
So less just absorbing, more actively engaging and testing yourself. Okay. What about study groups? Are they generally useful?
They can be fantastic, but the real benefit comes from active participation.
Not just sitting there.
Right. Just listening isn't nearly as effective as when you're actually, verbally trying to answer questions yourself, explaining concepts.
Makes sense.
Group size matters too. Too big, and not everyone gets to talk. Too small, maybe you miss different viewpoints. Find that sweet spot.
Okay.
And another tip, often overlooked. Use those small bits of downtime.
Like between classes.
Exactly. Or during breaks and clinicals. Carry flashcards. Review a quick concept on your phone. It frees up bigger blocks of time later for deep dives or, importantly, self-care.
Micro-studying.
Kind of. Those little bits really add up.
It's like compound interest for knowledge. Any other tips about, say, the study environment itself? Does changing location help?
Interestingly, yeah, research suggests varying your study environment can actually boost memory.
Really? Yeah.
Moving between, say, the library, a coffee shop, different rooms at home, it helps your brain associate the material with multiple contexts. Makes it easier to recall later, apparently.
Huh. Never thought of that.
And along with varying locations, vary your methods and materials. Don't just stick to one textbook or one website.
Mix it up.
Definitely. Use flashcards, practice questions from different sources, old tests if you can get your hands on them, different online platforms.
Keep the brain guessing.
Sort of. And speaking of testing, really hammer those practice questions and full practice exams.
Where do you find those?
The ICVA itself offers free samples and sells self-assessment exams. Plus, the big review programs like VetPrep and Zuku are packed with practice questions. The advice is usually, take one early on to see where you stand, baseline. Maybe 1 or 2 in the middle to track progress.
Yeah.
And definitely one near the end to simulate the real thing.
Get used to the timing and pressure.
Exactly.
It sounds like a really multi-pronged attack is best. What about specific books or resources students really lean on?
Yeah, consistently you hear about the big review programs, Zuko Review, VetPrep. They seem incredibly helpful with structure and realistic questions.
Okay, the paid programs.
Right. And for foundational knowledge, the Merck Veterinary Manual and the Small Animal Veterinary Nerd book get mentioned a lot. Great for reinforcing core concepts.
Classics.
And crucially, through all this intense studying, you absolutely have to prioritize self-care.
Ah, yes. The important part. That's easy to forget.
So easy.
Yeah.
But healthy diet, staying hydrated, getting regular exercise, trying for at least 6 hours of decent sleep,
Yeah.
that's not optional. It's essential for your brain to work properly and avoid burnout.
Non-negotiable.
Totally. And maybe limit caffeine, alcohol, especially close to the exam. It can mess with the anxiety and sleep.
Good point.
Finally, really know the exam itself.
Yeah.
Dig into the ICVA website, read the candidate bulletin, know the content areas, question counts per section, the strict time limits.
Familiarize yourself with the beast.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Know the rules for the Prometric Testing Center, too. Plan your travel way in advance. Reduce that day of stress as much as possible.
Self-care definitely seems like a critical piece, not just an add-on. Speaking of stress, vet school and naval prep are notoriously tough. What are some concrete stress management techniques you'd recommend?
Oh, absolutely. The whole journey is demanding time, effort, sacrifice. The pressure definitely ramps up for the NAVLE.
For sure.
But thankfully, there are solid, evidence-based techniques. Regular physical activity is huge. Yoga, running, team sports, cycling, whatever works for you.
Get moving.
Yes. Also, spending time in nature, even just a walk in a park or some gardening, it has a real calming effect. Meditation, breathing exercises, you can do these anywhere with apps or websites. Great for mindfulness, reducing anxiety.
It takes practice, though.
It does, but worth it. And learning to differentiate stressors, accept what you can't change, right? But take action on what you can influence. Like sometimes just saying no to extra commitments is the best stress relief.
Learning to say no. Powerful.
Quite powerful.
Those are all really practical steps. Any other, maybe less obvious stress tips?
Yeah, a couple. Surprisingly, just keeping your space tidy can actually help you feel calmer, more in control.
Clean desk, clean mind.
Something like that.
Rehab?
Also, consciously schedule time for enjoyable relaxation that has nothing to do with vet.
Yeah.
Reading for fun, a bath, watching something lighthearted.
Protect that downtime.
Yes. And nurture your friendships. Connect with people. Do things not related to school. It's a vital mental break.
Perspective.
Exactly. Listen to music you love, even dance around a bit. It can really release tension.
Love it. Keeping a journal, just writing down thoughts and feelings, can help process stress too. And maybe the most important one, if you're really struggling, feeling overwhelmed, anxious, please reach out for professional help.
Don't tough it out alone.
Never. Many schools have counseling services tailored for students. Seeking help is a sign of strength. You are absolutely not alone in feeling stressed during this.
Such a vital message. Okay, let's shift gears slightly. Let's touch on NAVLE pass rates. What do those numbers tell us, especially regarding vet school accreditation? We've seen some interesting data lately.
Yeah, it's definitely a topic that gets a lot of attention. The recent trend is interesting. After a 3-year dip, the overall pass rate ticked back up slightly in 2024 to 88%.
88% better, but still down from a few years ago.
Right, still below the 95% we saw back in 2020. But the uptick might suggest, maybe the impacts of the pandemic disruptions are lessening a bit.
Hopefully.
But there's a direct link between these pass rates and school accreditation. The AVMA Council on Education, the COE, they have a benchmark.
What's the number? They expect at least 80% of a school's graduating seniors taking the NAVLE to pass it by graduation. It's a key way they measure how effective the school's program is.
80%. And what happens if a school dips below that?
Well, if it happens for 2 years in a row, it can lead to probationary accreditation.
Ooh, serious.
Yeah, and 4 consecutive years below 80% could risk losing accreditation entirely. Obviously, huge consequences.
Wow. Did any schools fall below that in 2024?
In the 2024 data, 5 schools reported rates below 80%. Michigan State, St. George's, Tuskegee, University of Arizona, and Western University.
Okay.
However, it's important to know the COE doesn't just look at the raw number. They use a statistical analysis, an exact binomial confidence interval.
Statistical nuance.
Exactly. To see if a rate below 80% is a true deficiency or maybe just statistical noise, especially with smaller class sizes.
I see. So a school could be slightly below 80%, but still meet the standard statistically?
Correct. University of Arizona, for example, reported 79.4%, but their dean stated that with the COE's statistical analysis, they still met the standard. So it's not always a simple cutoff.
Right. It's more complex than just the percentage. It sounds like schools are definitely paying attention to this. What are they doing to, help students improve NAVLE prep and boost those rates?
Oh, absolutely. Many schools, especially those seeing lower rates, are actively putting new strategies in place.
Like what kind of things?
More mentorship programs, dedicated NAVLE review courses built into the curriculum, more opportunities for realistic practice exams under timed conditions.
Beefing up prep.
Yeah, and even tweaking the core curriculum itself based on areas where students seem to struggle on the exam historically.
Adapting.
Exactly. The goal, obviously, is to make sure their graduates are as prepared as possible to pass this critical exam and, succeed as vets.
It sounds like a dynamic situation schools actively working on it. Okay, any final words of wisdom for our listeners who are maybe gearing up for the NAVLE or are right in the thick of it?
Yeah, I'd just say, look, the NAVLE is a big hurdle, no doubt about it, but it is absolutely 100% surmountable.
You can do it.
You can. Remember that solid prep, taking care of yourself physically and mentally, and really understanding the exam format. Those are your best tools.
Prep, self-care, know the exam.
That's the core. And remember, everyone studies differently. Be patient. Figure out what works for you. Don't just copy someone else's plan if it doesn't feel right.
Find your own rhythm.
Exactly. And please lean on your support systems, your friends, your mentors, all the resources available. Don't hesitate to ask for help.
You're not alone.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
You've worked incredibly hard to get this far. With focused effort, the right approach, you can totally navigate this next step.
Excellent advice. We really hope this deep dive has given you some valuable insights, some practical info about the NAVLE. Remember to check out the ICVA website. Look into those review programs for more details.
Lots more info out there.
For sure. So as you reflect on this, what parts of NAVLE prep or maybe vet school stress management really stand out to you? What other questions pop into your head? This is just part of your journey and staying curious, staying prepared, that's going to serve you really well. Thanks so much for joining us for this important deep dive.